say to me in Bowers Game Corner.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again for another How to Play video, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Moose Master, the crazy party game for all ages. This is for 3 or more players, ages 8+, take about 30 minutes to play. And the first thing you're going to want to do is shuffle up these red back penalty cards, shuffle up these purple back Moose Master cards, and then randomly let one player go through the Moose rules and choose 2 Moose rules that will be in play at the beginning of the game. Now, these are going to change throughout the game, but just randomly pick 2 that you like, that you think can lead to some funny situations. When your setup looks like this, you're ready to start the game, and the player with the best laugh is going to go first, and then the next player will be the player to the left, and the player to the left. You're going to go clockwise the entire game. So on your turn, what you're going to do is really quite simple. You're just going to flip over the top card of the Moose Master deck and do whatever it is. And there's a huge range of activities, actions, and what are called Mastercards. And we're going to go through what all of those do in a minute, but I want to teach you first about how penalty cards work and about how you're going to win the game. And then this will make a lot more sense. So let's go back to the Moose rules right here, and there's always going to be at least 2 rules in play, and these are things that if anyone breaks this rule, you need to be on the lookout for, because if they ever break the rule, you can call them out for it, and then they have to take a penalty card. Now, penalty cards are typically just going to be something bad that you have in front of you that's going to make you one step closer to losing the game. Now, intermixed in here, there are also some wild penalty cards that will do various different things. Just read the text on the card. They're very self-explanatory. But now that we've talked about penalty cards, let's talk about how you actually can win the game. And there's 2 different ways to play, so you're going to have to choose which one you want to do. The first one is called Elimination, and this is where 7 strikes and you're out. Because if you ever have 7 penalty cards in front of you, you are immediately eliminated from the game, and the last 2 players left standing win that version of the game. If you don't want people to get eliminated, then you can play the fewest penalties version, which is where you play until either the Moose Master or the penalty cards run out. And whoever has the fewest penalties at the end of that wins the game. If there's a tie, there's a shared victory. So that's the gist of the game, but now we're going to go into all the specific cards. If you happen to forget any of them, because there are a lot of them, I'm going to leave the rules page right here. Just as you're clicking pause, please consider a thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot. But now let's get to the cards. The first type of cards we're going to talk about are Master cards. These are going to be special abilities that are given to people when they draw these specific cards. The first card we're going to see is the Moose Master card, and how this works is, at any time, if you have the Moose Master card, you can put your hands like antlers on top of your head, and the last person who does it, because everyone has to copy you, is then going to get assigned one specific Moose rule that just goes to them. So whoever was the slowest would have their own personal rule that they have to follow. No one else has to follow, and if anyone catches them breaking it, they're going to get penalty cards. Now, you can do the Moose Master rules as much as you would like. However, you can only have 1 rule out at a time. So if you were to do the Moose Master thing again, and then this person was not the last person, they would lose their Moose rules card, and then the player that was the slowest would then get their own custom rule from the Moose Master. You remain the Moose Master as long as no one else draws another Moose Master card. So as soon as another Moose Master comes out, pop, you discard this card. The next card we're going to run into is the Copycat Master. The player who draws this card is the Copycat Master. The Copycat Master chooses an action to be mimicked and a player to be his/her mimic. Each time the Copycat Master does the chosen action, the player chosen to be his or her mimic must repeat the action within 3 seconds. So let's say thumbs up is your action. So every time I do that, you have to do it within 3 seconds. If that player fails to mimic in time, the player has broken the rule and must draw a penalty card. And the Copycat Master discards this card once that rule is broken and that person gets a penalty card, or when another Copycat Master card is drawn. The player who draws the Echo Master card is the Echo Master. And the Echo Master chooses a word to be echoed and a player to be his/her echo. Each time the Echo Master says the chosen word, the player chosen to be his or her echo must repeat the word within 3 seconds. It's kind of like the Copycat Master, except with a word. Once again, the Echo Master must discard the card once the rule is broken or when another Echo Master card is drawn. Next, we have the Question Master. The player who draws this card is the Question Master. If the Question Master asks a question, the other players must either ignore the question or answer with a question. Any player that gives an answer that is not in the form of a question has broken this rule and must draw a penalty card. The Question Master may continue to use this card until another Question Master card is drawn, at which point this is discarded, but you can hand out numerous penalties with this Question Master ability. Next, we have the Thumb Master. The player who draws this card is the Thumb Master. At any time, the player may place their thumb down on the playing surface, and all the other players must do the same. The last player with their thumb down receives a penalty card, and the Thumb Master may do this only once. If another Thumb Master card is drawn, the current Thumb Master must discard their card immediately. The next kind of cards you're going to see are what are called activity cards, and these are cards that you'll do something and then they will get discarded and it moves on to the next player. Next, we have the bomb. If you draw this, you draw a penalty card. That stinks. Next, categories. And the player who draws this card must choose a category such as automakers, types of fruits, or brands of shoes, as an example. Each player in a clockwise order must pick a new item that fits the category. A word may not be repeated. The first player that cannot think of an item to fit the category or repeats an item must draw a penalty card. And then this card goes away. Next, we have action story. The player who draws this card must think of a simple action such as pointing to the sky or waving to another player. In a clockwise manner, the next player in line must copy the actions before them and add his or her own simple action. Play continues until one player cannot remember all the actions or does them in the wrong order, and then this player must draw a penalty card. So, for instance, player 1 might wave, then player 2 might wave, then thumbs up, then player 3 might wave, then thumbs up, then thumbs down, until someone messes up the chain. Next, we have name game. The player who draws this card must say the name of a famous person by first and last name. For example, let's say player 1 picked the name William Stevenson. The next player, player 2, must think of a name that starts with the first letter of the previous last name. That would be S, since Stevenson. Player 2 would say Selena Gomez. Player 3 would now have to think of a name that starts with a G, maybe Gary Puckett. Play moves in a clockwise manner until one player cannot think of a celebrity name in 15 seconds or says a name that has already been said.
And you probably guessed it, that player will draw a penalty card.
To spice things up a little bit, you can add in a doubles rule, and if a name is said that has the same letter for both the first and last name, such as Barry Bonds, Mickey Mouse, or Sammy Sosa, the order of play reverses to counterclockwise. If a double name is said again, it reverses again. The first player to make a mistake must draw a penalty card like normal, and that variant is one that you don't have to play with. It's just an optional one they mention in the rules. Next, we have rhyme time, and the player who draws this card chooses a word that can be rhymed with. Each player in a clockwise order must pick a new word that rhymes with the chosen word. A word may not be repeated. The first player to make a mistake must draw a penalty card. Next, we have rock, paper, scissors, and the player who draws this card must pick 2 players to play rock, paper, scissors. Whoever loses 2 out of 3 rounds receives a penalty card, and you can pick yourself if you really want to. Next, we have story time. The player who draws this card must say a word to start a story. A story is created one word at a time. Each player in a clockwise order must repeat the current story, then add a word of their own. The first player to make a mistake must draw a penalty card. So, the dolphin. So they say then this player would say the dolphin, then this player said the dolphin went, and then this player, the dolphin went to the thing, and whoever messes up the story draws that penalty card. Last but not least, we have what are called action cards, and these are 4 rapid action cards that'll keep you on your toes, and whenever one of these blue back cards comes up,
Everyone has to do a specific action.
and the last person to do it draws a penalty card, and those are point to the left, slap jab, so slapping the table, point to the right, and sky high. But there you go. That's how you're going to play Moose Master. If this video helped you out, consider giving it a thumbs up. Also, if you enjoy learning games, please consider subscribing as I teach games all the time. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube. Go have some fun. This video is brought to you by all of my amazing Patreon supporters, and I would love it if you would join their ranks and have your name immortalized in the end of many of my videos for the end of time. But consider for only $1 a month, and as always, thanks for stopping by.